Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The scenario is called Cadenza. It was written by Matthew Sanderson, and it is from World War Cthulhu Cold War, Covert Actions. Matthew Sanderson is our game master, and this is episode 5. Our recap will be given by John Dos Passos as his character, Stan Gursky. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. John?
Thanks, Tom. All right. Agent Gursky report. After hearing the commotion, Holden, Morrison, and I rushed into the room where Dr. Longshaw was, hearing a cacophony of sounds as we were running into the other room, almost akin to something like an orchestra or a room full of instruments. Holden and Morrison beat me inside, and apparently they saw something about gazing into the infinite. It's all definitely squirrely. There are square windows on each of the far walls that seem to continue on for infinity, with further and further rooms ever visible. Could this be a simple mirror trick, or is this really, dare I say, an unnatural occurrence? Seems that the sleeping Fredericks seems not to have noticed anything from this occurrence, which is definitely good for OPSEC. Dr. Bradshaw was vehement that he saw something, some sort of amorphous blob with a instrument or something. We pondered if the thing was looking for the person, was looking for the station. Is it the person? So we continued our investigation. First of all, whatever the answer, it's very clear that we knew that whatever it was looking for someone or something. So we continued our investigation. There was a guard in the hut outside with another person. There's a woman, slender with a bob. We identified her as Sergeant Emma Howland. Apparently, they were supposed to meet with Bryce a little bit earlier. Was late to a few appointments. He went early in for a check-in. Apparently there was some project or composition that he was busy working on, and he was reported to have, people were complaining that he was keeping them up all night awake with the theremin. As we examined more of the number station itself, we found that the control panel appears to have gotten burnt up very badly. I mean, almost burnt to hell. The top 2 player recorders are probably burnt to crisp as well. Seems that Frederick was laying near the control panel. He was found twisted over, heads near his hands. He may have been sheltering his head, and the volume had been turned up to max. Something was we did some examinations. We found that something was spliced into the tape, and we found a small splicing kit in the safe. Could this have been Frederick's, or was it someone else? And if so, who? There might be a paper trail of a call and response. I sure hope so. That would be a good lead. It seems like a power surge caused the fire. The control panel was near the headphone jack. Maybe it had something to do with it and the recordings. We haven't been able to determine yet. There are scuff marks on the floor where maybe Frederick slipped or spasmed, but there doesn't seem to be marks or signs of a clear struggle. More like I said, a spasm or a ball or something. Holden and I listened to the recording of the initial interaction. We heard static, which grew on the tape after the initial theremin music. Then after it cuts out after about the 8th or 9th block. It first started by the 7th block of music. And then during the 8th, there is outright fire. And then during the 9th block is when everything becomes stuck on full power, which is probably what caused the fire. Everything being burnt to a crisp. The others went to speak with Howland. They asked how Fredericks got hurt. Wasn't much of a clear answer. It seems that he and Sanford were apparently good friends. When we got back to the base, we learned that, when we checked in with the base, we learned that no flights have been able to take off since we got back. We knew we had to try to find the theremin, and we figured it was probably still in Frederick's quarters. So we headed there. We got there just in time to catch Sanford destroying evidence while he was tearing the room apart. He was clearly searching for something and seemed to be maybe about to smash the theremin when we entered. He was having a fit. He was in a mood. He claimed that Frederick is breaking regulations, reported him for his transgressions, like his blatant romantic relationship. But importantly, the theremin was there. We also found that it had a sheet of manuscript paper, hanging out of it. We looked at this, and as best as any of us can tell, it was a wild piece of music. I mean, all over the place. And it was titled Cadenza to an Alien Aria. As if that isn't ominous. We decided we're taking Fredericks in. Probably gonna need to talk tonight about the report. Wonderfully, and with the best timing, the old man with the cello is back. However, this time he communicated with us by writing our responses on a notepad in response to our questions. To sum it up, apparently he's apparently looking for the musician that answered True Number's call. Some of the notes that he said mentioned Trunembra is the angel of music. Trunembra searches the universe for masters of their craft that can ensure the demon sultan never wakes. The next one was, he has to come with me to join the court of Azathoth and play forever. It is the only way in which we can calm the demon sultan. And finally, he also showed us, my name is Eric Zahn. My time here is limited. I must find the musician. They must answer the call of the angel of music and return with me to the court of Azathoth. Whatever the hell all that means.
Indeed, that pretty much brings us straight up to the moment where we left it. So you are there with Zahn. What would you like to do? Stunned silence all round.
Do any of you have any questions for him? His hand is very nice. His German is a bit formal. I think archaic, slightly.
How did this happen? Does somebody try to? Are you saying that, well, Cadenza, is it they finished the piece that the angel starts?
Also had Zahn, etc., etc.
So the world's gonna end if this guy if he doesn't answer the call.
I think he's implying that the whole universe ends, but
Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, is he actually going to? He doesn't seem like he's going to be much use as a musician. You can understand us, right? Kind of looking to this.
Give me a psychology roll. So anyone that's with him there.
11.
Got a regular success.
Regular, yeah.
Okay. Right. He does look between you. With an extreme success, or rather with a regular success, first of all, to begin with, there is a degree of understanding. So you know that you're fairly confident he does understand at least some English. With Carl's extreme, positively, he definitely has a grasp of English, but it's very limited. You're thinking he's catching maybe one word in several, but he's understanding enough that he gets the general gist of the conversation. You don't think he's fluent enough where he could write it, but at least he has a grasp of what you're saying. So you can all communicate with him, but he's going to, by default, he will respond in German. When you ask about, or rather when you say about things like the world's going to end, he starts not scribbling, but definitely writing quickly and comes up with this.
Wenn der Musiker dem Engel nicht dargeboten wird, etc., if the musician is not presented before the angel hears their performance again, Trunembra will start abducting people from the base en masse, hoping to acquire the musician by default. So that implies, I think, that the time limit is based on the numbers recording.
What time is it?
Yeah. Well, it's what time it is, but also, what did you guys do at the number station?
Yeah, we turned it off.
Oh, we did turn it off.
You took his recording off the air.
So that's good, right? Because he won't hear it again.
No,
Except that just
going to start taking people.
It's going to take everybody just to make sure that he gets the musician.
Oh.
But didn't it say by the next playing?
Before I hear it again. I thought that meant that we had until it plays.
Until it plays at the number station.
And we just
the number station isn't playing.
Yeah.
And if it isn't there, because at the minute it's been going on a regular 4-hour, a regular cycle. If it isn't there when it kicks off next, when this thing Trunembra is expecting it to appear, you might have an angry god on your hand.
Probably also be bad.
What if we play it on some other thing?
It's still it's expecting it at a time, and it also if we have to turn over the musician before then we still won't have met that clause.
He starts writing again of that mention.
Trunembra accepted jeden. Trunembra will accept anyone that can answer the call if the original musician cannot.
So anyone that can play the music would be acceptable.
He nods.
What if
here?
Zahn.
He's already a member.
Yeah. Also, I'm not an expert in music. I can hold a tune. Who the hell can actually play that?
I mean, you have to be very skilled to play something like that.
On the theremin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not on the theremin, but at least some way that you can answer the call. What exactly he means by answer the call, because I don't think you've actually got that information as yet. But people can give me an idea roll as well, that this something that might
96, I think.
You do not think what I'm thinking.
In the
100.
restroom.
Oh no. Hard
with Victor Young.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Americans have no clue what needs to be done.
Dumb gun-toting Americans.
I have a 55, so a regular success for idea.
Okay. And Stan?
I failed, sorry.
Okay. So Carl maybe is not quite close enough because I'm looking for a hard. So Gerald has this idea that kind of pops into his head that, what happened? Obviously, someone's got to play this thing. Mechanically, having seen that handwritten manuscript, you are going to require an extreme success on art, craft, music to be able to perform that.
Yeah.
Because it is so difficult that it requires someone of exceptional skill, which kind of fits with what he says about searching the universe for people that can be masters of their craft, that can placate a god with the sound of the music they make. But again, this thought almost starts worming its way into Gerald's head. What about a counter melody? Might that be some way that you could get rid of the god, and that it would send it away, so that it might banish it from here?
Yeah.
If something's attracted it, would the reverse send it away?
Yeah, and the way he'll express it is kind of like, wait, the music, you whistle an opposite tune that just jars so much.
Opposite of what?
The cadenza for an alien watch'em. If you just play rock and roll music so loud, it gets offended and leaves. Right? If we could convince it that no, whatever's here is so horrible, it must have been a fluke.
Do you mean play it backwards?
Backwards and upside down? I mean, that's also Bach. In a way, you get the same thing.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of risky, because what if we offend it so much it just blows us all up?
We could splice the tape back in backwards.
What's that going to accomplish?
It's
right?
going to play it in reverse.
Well,
think that
we
will repel
do
it, will it?
actually, we do have, I'm not sure how much Zahn would help, but we know who wrote this Cadenza. We could talk to Fredericks. He might be able to flip it if he is as genius. He clearly wants this gone. He's losing his mind.
The question
right.
there being whether he's lost his mind to the extent already that he's not capable of composing a complex musical piece within a limited time frame before humans are abducted. Whereas, since he's not much of a use to mankind as it stands, I doubt he'll have a moment's peace the rest of his days, afraid of every rectangle he sees. Maybe he should just go with Zahn and close this whole business. What? Herr Zahn, the musician, der Musiker ist wahnsinnig jetzt. He's been driven mad by the experience he's had so far of Trunembra. Is that going to interfere with his capacity to play in the court?
You can see evidently there's some cogs turning as he thinks it through, and eventually there's a very melancholy look on his face. He just shakes his head.
So apparently the musician doesn't need to be able to function in a normal capacity to perform. The music, after all, is part of him. Otherwise, the only person on base that we know is an extremely competent musician is Sergeant Howland. She might be willing to try something if we have enough time. She's motivated to help Fredericks, it would seem.
It does. I mean, it doesn't seem like this is a great place to be in. Zahn, you don't look. Are you happy with where you are?
He kind of just looks at you with this 1,000-yard stare that goes straight through you.
Uh-huh.
And that's pretty much the only response he gives.
I'm like, hey, Gerald, are you happy where you are?
I mean, at the moment or in general?
Yes.
I mean,
both.
The time limit's the problem because we can't let this play. We have to get the nukes off the base. So unless we convince her or get Fredericks or some other savant to play the tune or a counter tune, it's toast.
In fact, I have a response actually for this. So Zahn will again scribble down.
Ihm wird das Gleiche geschehen, was mir passiert. They will become as I am. They will play until the last stars burn out, until the very end of time itself, if that is what is needed to keep Azathoth from waking. And Herr Zahn, it is important to keep the demon sultan from waking. That's a good thing.
Yeah, he just nods.
All right. How long do we have?
This is the one thing I wish I had kept the track of what time we were at.
Yeah, I was looking at too.
I think we're probably somewhere around about 6 p.m. by this point. So you've got, so at least, no, probably that's.
We've got 4 hours if it's 6. Right?
Wouldn't that be 2 hours?
It'd be 2 hours.
It'd be played at noon and then 4. We shut it off after that.
We have it midnight to 8, 8 to 4, and 4 to midnight.
That's it.
So if it's 6-ish, then we're between
there's 8 hours
4 p.m. and
between.
midnight.
Wait, why is there 8 hours between the 4 hour and then the midnight one?
It's an 8-hour cycle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so let's say, because I can't remember when you turned it off. So that would have been somewhere around about mid-afternoon. So yeah, in fact, we'll stick with it being 6. So that if you've turned it off, you've avoided the last broadcast. So that at least it's no longer on the air. That's the key thing. But it would repeat normally. You'd got until midnight for when the proverbial will hit the fan.
if this Trinumba understands our time at all. It seemed to be looking in the hospital. It can look anywhere it wants, I assume. Yes. Hetsan, can Trinumba appear at any point in any scale, or does it need a window or a doorway or a opening?
It kind of ums and ahs, and then he puts one finger up. He will clarify on the pad. The first, it can appear anywhere.
So how can we contact you?
He'll also further write, its agents are already here.
Oh, those are only agents that we've seen. Oh dear. Yes.
Aren't you an agent for Trinumbra?
He writes, because again, this isn't the response I've got pre-planned.
Right.
I am one of many from the court. I play for the Demon Sultan.
So you aren't like here for Trinumbra. Trinumbra is here also, in addition to you.
Yeah. He points up into the sky at a particular angle, and then just writes Trinumbra and points.
What's he pointing at?
He's literally just pointing up in the sky. Although, if folks want to give me a retroactive spot hidden roll, you might remember something that was in Frederick's apartment that now might make a bit of more sense.
Failed.
I got regular.
Mm-hmm. I think so. It looks like Gerald's got it. Wraith's got it.
I failed, but I'm pretty sure I know what it is out of character.
Right. Wraith and Gerald, then, one of the things you remember, because the little confrontation you had with Sanford in Frederick's apartment was quite quick, mainly focused around getting the theremin from being smashed. But one thing you do remember is that there was a book on star constellations up on his shelf, that there was a big chunky bookmark sat out. But now that makes you think the guy Zahn's pointing up at the sky, and you've got a book on constellations referenced. That there might be a connection.
He didn't have a telescope, did he?
Is it dark right now?
It's getting dark. I mean, it's summertime, so it won't be truly dark for a number of hours yet, but it's getting there.
You don't really need a telescope to see constellations.
That's all it's all good and well. I mean, it's neither good nor well, but that doesn't seem pertinent to the time frame we're talking about. We can find the face of God in the stars later, I guess. What are we going to do? Because I don't think we can shoot this thing.
We could toss it a nuke when it gets here. And
no.
Terrible idea.
Zahn will write, how do you kill sound?
We get it into a soundproof room.
You put it in a vacuum?
He shakes his head and that won't help.
You could mess with the signal, a counter frequency.
Right. But how do we... Do you know enough music?
Would I have any idea with 16 signals?
I'd say that definitely what Gerald was mentioning, that a counter melody, something that would disrupt a sound wave, would definitely be, if you knew the right frequency, if you knew the tune, that would definitely be, there is science behind it.
I'd have to listen to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have the sheet music too.
Have you also got Cthulhu Mythos?
No. 2%.
You can give me a Mythos roll if you want.
I have 70 luck, so time to spend. Just make sure I'm in the threshold. I rolled 77.
Well, given we do know, yes, that you can that waves of sound will cancel each other out under the right circumstances.
You can drown sound out.
So perhaps there's some treatment we can do to that tape, not unlike what Wraith suggested, but a little more scientific. measure the waveform and figure out an inverse of that waveform. The problem is I don't know whether you would play that instead or simultaneously or.
Probably instead.
I mean, at that point, if we could just put it on a loop,
Yeah.
I don't know that it's. I mean, maybe put the little whistle tune first, so it,
It listens
pays
in.
attention. Yeah, and then maybe it's scared away. But I guess
I'll
Young,
need
do
a
you
computer
have
with the
one?
software.
If you're discussing it as a group, I'd say that everyone can also give me that mythos roll to see if this is something that suddenly again sparks a little brainwave.
What degree do I need?
Just a regular on a mythos roll.
I'll spend 9 luck for that.
Oh, I was considering a rather.
I was considering
Deeper
20,
dive.
so I was considering 22. So let's go ahead with 9.
Okay, and again, it's somewhat apt that because Gerald's the one that came up with the initial idea of the counter melody. Again, you're thinking of how banishment rituals that you've read about, how they generally work. Generally, there's a bit more than just performing the actions. You need an investiture of power to do this. Mechanically speaking, it requires a lot of magic points. Just playing the tune or reversing it, as was suggested on the tape, that ain't going to be enough. You're going to need to physically play this thing and potentially, as a group, have enough battery of power to be able to make this thing work.
I see. You know what? Oh no. You know what we need? We need the band. I think we have to get the bass band together to play this. I dealt with this in Istanbul. We had some crazy guys, one-offs, not very powerful, but you get a bunch of them together and it's a whole nother ball game. If we can get the band together and Young, if you can figure out a counter melody to play,
Yes.
we can all die when this thing takes the entire orchestra.
The thing is that we're in the middle of a crisis.
How do
are
we
you gonna
convince a
convince
band,
the
right?
band to play? What if we just broadcast it in reverse? Or
I'm telling you, there's a human element to this that's necessary.
I don't know that much about how sound waves work, but don't they create a sine wave? And if you create the opposite sine wave, then it cancels itself out.
Perhaps in conventional science, but we're talking about the supernatural here, quite frankly, with summonings and banishments. So I do agree there might be a ritual aspect.
Maybe we just give him
Gerald.
give him whatchamacallit. Give him
the
Frank.
guy.
I mean, we're here to stop this from happening. Sometimes you got to sacrifice somebody. We didn't start this.
That's why, if that's how you want to justify things, right?
I'm just saying, what if we sacrifice all of the people on this island because we don't sacrifice Frank?
I think it's we have enough time to experiment a bit, and if we don't find some satisfactory resolution, then we toss the poor mad musician into this gulf of space with the little old German man.
I said Frank. I meant Fredericks. Knew it was Neff.
All right. Well, I will start transcribing. If
Do you think Sergeant Holdbrook will be able to help you at all?
yes,
Howland, rather?
because each number on the frequency, they can actually correspond to a note. They might have to write it out if a band's going to play it. But how are we going to convince them? Are we going to blackmail Holbrook with the blackmail with her romantic implications with Redder?
I mean,
to get her to
Sergeant
do her
Howland has to. I mean, she will be confused by this request regarding the musical notation, but she is invested in the signals unit and concerned about Fredericks personally, and has experienced operating that machinery and recognizing the waveforms and so on. I don't think she'll be that big a problem. Getting the band together when everyone's running around trying to prevent Armageddon in a very mundane way.
Zahn, are you sticking around for a moment?
Bleiben Sie?
So he just Gerald kind of reaches over and passes his hand through the violin case. That's how we get Howland on board, and that's how we get the sergeant commander, the air base. We're getting this band.
We're gonna expose those two to Mr. Zahn.
What if you convince her that there's some sort of coded message in the music and that we need to hear it?
I think that's a very viable ruse.
Well, then we need to. It'd be easier just to tell her the truth, so we can get the counter melody.
Well, you can. I mean, I think that Rafe's suggestion was that we suggest not that it's a space alien that needs the counter melody, but an enemy. Might require
we
less
can just
convincing.
convince them that it's the Russians, and we need to transcribe this as a counter melody.
Right.
Mhm. The Cubans have found this thing that makes all our machines break down, and if we
I
can
like that.
invert it, we can stop the planes from blowing up and the lights from going off and people getting zapped.
Okay, I'm on board with that.
And that way we can requisition it some more, some instrumentation, because it's for a rational Cold War purpose. And if it doesn't work by 10:15, we just throw Fredericks into the void. Again, the man's never going to serve again. He's a little shell-shocked.
All right, so Mr. Zahn will come with us?
Right.
Well, unless there's a way to summon him, he might be a bit conspicuous walking around with us in his...
Why? We're all military police.
So we've captured the mysterious fellow that has been peering around the base, and we're escorting him with us.
Of course, we have complete authority over this.
Right. Actually, he's was coerced by the Cubans into working on this project, and he's come over. He's a valued asset.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Russians, since he speaks German and not Spanish.
He evidently looks again like he's pondering for a second, and then he just puts up a finger. And then as he does so, he starts to shimmer from about the head downwards and slowly starts to just fade away and disappear. And within a couple of seconds, he's gone. A couple of seconds pass, and then he just starts to reappear again.
God, he can turn invisible.
Yeah,
that is.
At the moment, that doesn't require a sand roll because of circumstance, perhaps. But I think I'll be dreaming about it if I live through the day.
Well, there might be some other things you'll have longer term dreams of if you get to that point. So he's the least of your worries.
What a spy you would be, man. Oh my goodness.
In a way,
all right, so who's getting Howland and who's getting I think Musgrave, right? If we get Musgrave, he owes us one. He can get us the band.
All right. Carl, you should go with Eric here and convince Musgrave, right?
Sure.
And are any of you going to actually get Fredericks? Because he is also potentially someone you can use.
Yeah, if they find him, will they just take him? I'll ask Zahn. So do we need to keep him hidden?
No, there's
I suspect we all look the same to them.
He writes,
Trunamber wird nicht zufrieden sein. Trunamber will not be satisfied until the musician plays their response again.
The key thing there is get the musician to play. The guy needs to do his performance again to be taken. So you can get Fredericks out of the hospital. He's not just going to disappear there and then. He has to perform to Trunamber again. In fact, whoever takes his place or whatever you do, it will involve a performance. It's not just hand him over and he's gone. He's got to do stuff.
Yeah, like we shouldn't wait till the last hour we're trying to force him to play at gunpoint, and he's not going to do it.
I'll go to Fredericks and I'll assess him and see if he's actually even capable anymore of this. Do we have a
Good idea.
photocopy machine we can make a copy of the music?
Oh, yeah, you can definitely get that.
Yeah. I'd like a copy so that I can.
I'll get to work listening to that frequency and transcribing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you would, I guess it's Young and I should go to the station and start working on Sergeant Howland. She's got the technical material there and can help you start with the musical part in addition to the mathematical part.
Probably Musgrave first, just to get the okay and the official cover.
I mean, if we want to split, this seems like the time to do it. Like, I don't mind going to get Musgrave. If Eric comes with, I don't think I'll have a problem convincing him, even if he doesn't initially like it.
Yeah, and I can I can just get started on transcribing just by being at the station. So that'll save some time.
Yep. And Dr. Longshaw, you're thinking Fredericks?
Go to Fredericks. I mean, the man's in a state, so we've got to.
Stan, then what about you?
Are you good with signals?
I am. So
I
can
need all the
assist.
help.
Yeah, I'll probably stay here and assist you.
All right.
Actually, I think I've already offended Sergeant Howland, so maybe I won't go to that. I'll help Ray or Morrison if you think it's useful.
Your choice. I would definitely welcome the help.
Very good then.
Right, thinking of it before I forget. As you're thinking about signals, Young and Gursky can give me a signals roll.
Regular pass. 54.
Okay.
I failed. Since you passed, I won't spend the luck.
Okay, so Young's got them. What's your electrical repair or electronics like?
My electrical repair is 60.
Okay, so pretty good. One other thing that does spring to mind, that's because there's a few bits of this that have been bounced around in the conversation. If you're looking at a group activity, whereby if you're going to need people to draw upon to be able to try and banish this Trinembra using the counter melody, if you're going to broadcast it through the tower, through the number station, if you pump enough power through the number station, and you know that they've got a direct line into the grid, so there is a lot of power you can potentially draw from there. It's a bit out there, but you could potentially turn that mast into a massive theremin. So what you'd effectively need, though, is you would need the electrical fields around the human body to be able to interact with the mast. So if you were to get up on the mast and start, or have various people like the band or yourselves, all going out there and positioning yourself at various angles, your own electrical field will interact with that of the mast and potentially use it as a massive musical instrument, therefore drawing power from everyone that is involved.
I'll relay that. So if everyone holds hands. Oh boy. This is going to be a shit show.
Should we sing Kumbaya? Yeah.
I'll put open-minded in our list of requirements for the band members.
So you're gonna hook us all up
To a super theremin, yes.
like the cells of a car battery.
Why can't we just patch the theremin into the whole broadcast system and have Fredericks play it?
But then it would. The idea is that if we did it this way, it would take power from all of us.
Yes, instead of one person, which might not be enough. So think of us as batteries.
Yeah. In mechanical terms, he is the only person performing a banishment at that point. He's the only source of magic points. If you have other people involved in the performance, they get to contribute.
Okay, well, you just tell me what to do. Just don't electrocute us all.
Oh no!
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, please don't overcharge the battery.
Yeah, it'll be like touching
If
one of those
battery's us.
Tesla balls or your fingertips hit the electricity. It's fine. I got this.
Okay.
But this would be so much easier if we could have the counter signal story that the Cubans are introducing a new technology, and this is a good way to counteract.
I have.
Yeah, Holbrook's got that.
I have stealth and tradecraft. Could we pass this off as like we're trying to mess up their communications so that they can't target the base with weapons or something?
Yeah, because they've already been EMPing our base. That's the cause. So you just have to tell Musgrave that, or Knight.
We'll start with Musgrave. If he can get us the band, we'll go with that. Knight might be a tougher sell.
All right. Well, I don't want to just sit around my dick in my hand. I'm gonna run off to the station.
Okay, so Gursky and Young are heading off to the number station.
Yeah.
And then you've got Longshore is heading off to the infirmary to have a word with Fredericks.
And I think, Wraith, while an assessment is suitable, I think we need him out there regardless. Even if he's not going to play, he might end up being an offering. But I don't think he's going to be any good to himself or anyone that's in the hospital. It's a matter of how much he needs sedation for you to get him someplace useful, perhaps, and whether you can be soothing. The doctor on staff is probably 3 sheets to the wind by now, so he shouldn't be too great an impediment.
I don't think so. And I'm not sure that I can sedate Fredericks. He won't be able to participate if he's too out of it.
Why?
I'm going to use a combination of the truth and lies, like Satan would do.
It's tradecraft, as Gursky would say.
Indeed.
And yes, and we'll go off and talk to the brass, and I guess the invisible Herzon will be with us, or should Herzon go to the station? I know you were thinking, Morrison. No.
Yeah, he gestures that either going with you or going to the station, either of those is fine for him.
I mean, Morrison, your idea that if we can produce an invisible German man who can walk through things, that will push bureaucracy.
Yeah, that would be my my last resort card for sure.
Yeah. It's not good for containment, but it's good for convincing.
Correct.
Very
yes,
good.
Containment is priority 3 after Sultan nukes containment. Plus, who's going to believe this?
That's true. If he were to talk, it would just be a demotion at best, early retirement. All right then. Good luck, all. We're all going to return to the number station as soon as we've gathered our various materials.
Yep.
Right, divide and conquer. GM's worst nightmare. Right. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go with the number station first. So, Young and Gursky, you head down there, presumably by Land Rover or other vehicle that you can get. You get there. Basically, no problems on that front. Along the way, you will notice a couple of things. That there are increasing numbers of refugees that are appearing on the base. There's lots of transport that's coming through from the main gate, and then it's being sent down to the hospital, not the infirmary, but the hospital itself, the main facility on base. They seem to be using that as a refugee center. That's the place where they're basically holding them up like a massive hotel. So there is plenty of vehicles which are starting to pile up around there. But also, you notice there's a lot of activity going on around the main airstrip. So you've got lots of technicians, you've got lots of airbase personnel. They're like bees over a hive, and they're manic in that area. They're all swarming around the Vulcans. They're all seemingly working quite hectically, because everywhere you go on the way to the station, there is electrical problems that are becoming more and more visible. Lights, even the street lights, are starting to buzz and starting to go bright and then pulse, light and dark. You can hear screamed, or what sounds like almost like screaming, but it sounds like electrical screeching is probably a better word for it, over loudspeakers. And it definitely has the feeling that the whole place is starting to fall apart.
Oh boy.
There's definitely an escalation of events happening in the background here. You get to the number station though, and you obviously then go through the front desk, or go through the guard desk rather, and go inside. And Howland is still it's Howland, isn't it? Yeah, Howland is still there. Pretty much you would go into the main control room and find her legs stuck out from under the main desk as she's like a mechanic trying to. There's wires hanging down that she's trying to put back in place, and she hears you coming in. Oh, who's that?
It's us, Victor Young and Stan Gersey.
Oh, hello.
We're
hello
just
there.
here for some secondary checks.
Oh, okay. I was hoping you'd come to lend a hand. Fat chance. She's still evidently still doing repair work.
So I'll explain to Stan. So my idea is the more people we have connected to this theremin, like a battery, that won't actually, we won't even have to care about their musical skill, because that will just alter the theremin itself. It'll just fall on the musician to adjust for the different bits of electrons from the people.
We're playing the keys of the theremin and the battery cells.
No, we don't have to play anything. We just have to be there.
I'm saying we are standing in as the keys of the theremin and the battery cells, and he will play us, I guess.
Right. So musical talent wouldn't even matter. It's just
right. I hope so, because I don't think any of us have that.
True. Now I'm going to start reading out these frequencies. I want you to write them down on a piece of paper.
Okay.
Every interval, and each frequency actually corresponds to a note, and we can find a counter frequency for each number we write down. So we'll start doing that.
Gotcha. Just trying to find the right section here for you. You know that moment where you think, I know I've read this somewhere in my own notes, and I can't think where it is.
Happens to me all the time.
Yes.
And you know it's right here. But you can't find it.
I'm thinking the more people we have, the less likely it'll kill us all.
Here we go. To compose a counter melody, normally this would be you would need to make an artcraft music roll, but because you've got a rational scientific background for it, I will allow signals to substitute for that.
All right. Since I'm being assisted, can I get a bonus die?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stan. This one's for you. 70. That's a failure. All right. I got a 57 out of 60.
Okay, there's regular success is all you need. You've got that gives you basically the scientific basis to say this is what the melody needs to be.
Right.
So that will be able to inform everyone that is going to partake what they need to do. So this will allow you to bring in other people to do the necessary battery role. Again, going into mechanics, what each participant is going to need to do, if you turn the mass into a theremin, everyone that gets involved needs to perform a successful dex roll to be able to position themselves correctly. Anyone that is then successful in that role can then add magic points into the banishment attempt. So you're correct. It doesn't require their magical skill, their musical skill at all. They are purely there as batteries.
Yep. They're the keys. And we've transcribed sheets upon sheets at this point.
Yeah.
And they're all numbers. We actually need to have a musician look at this.
Yeah, that'll be your lead for the banishment.
All right.
And to actually convert the mast, that will require just increasing the power. You don't need to do a roll for that. The main thing will be just making sure that you have your leader here. You've got the time to do it, and you're professionals. You know exactly. You've got the skill to be able to do it. It's just the time needed, and you've got hours, so you are covered for getting this all sorted.
We try and convince Emma to maybe just. Does she know the theremin? I don't think she knows it as well as Fredericks. We might be able to ask her. Well, just to have a backup.
If you ask her about that, she says, "I know that he's got it. He's played it a couple of times. One of his one of the kind of things that we do in the sergeant's mess when we perform there is he's got a gimmick. He's got this little shtick that he likes to do, is that he likes to bring out a different instrument every few weeks. Okay. And so he's been playing on the theremin for about 2 weeks now. He picked it up in some cheap music shop in Limassol, where he gets most of his stuff there.
Oh, he's really virtuoso. He just pick up an instrument and then play masterpieces. What about you? Are you any good at the theremin? Have you tried?
She shakes her head with a very, very much a hell no kind of reaction. No, I'm a good pianist, but I'm not that kind of. I'm not a virtuoso where I can turn to any instrument.
Yeah, I guess you can't convert the radio mast to a piano.
She kind of looks at you kind of like a what the hell?
Inside joke. MPs.
Yeah.
But carry on. Mm-hmm. Actually, you know what? I have time. I'll help fix the electronics to just get some goodwill.
Okay. Yeah. We'll say between you, it's laborious work, but it's not complicated. And this is a purely mundane electrical fire that ripped through here. So it's just a case of rewiring everything.
This also helps us because it keeps the entire number station safe. I don't want anything to go wrong.
Good plan. Right. And I think Gursky's going to help out on that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Meanwhile, then you've got Wraith on his own heading over to the infirmary. Right, you head over there, and when you get over there again, there's this sense that there is stuff building up here. You can see that there are plenty more people being wheeled in that seem to be brought in via ambulances on site, being wheeled in, some with various electrical burns, others with more prominent injuries that looks like they've been caught in either fires or even a couple of the explosions or heavy material having fallen on them. More people are getting injured, and a couple of them that you're seeing being wheeled through, you're fairly sure they're going to end up in a body bag. There are people dying out there with what's going on.
I am extremely cautious because the last time I went into this area, I saw that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm walking, stopping, looking around, making my way to where Fredericks is. Yeah.
You cannot hear the Lincolnshire Poacher being played anywhere here, so you tentatively creep through the infirmary into that ward, and you don't hear anything, but you do get to Fredericks' room, where you find the nurse standing over Fredericks, and Fredericks is awake. So yeah, she turns over to you. Says, "Oh, you again?
How's the patient, dog? Nurse?"
Yeah, he's been awake for a few minutes now. I was actually going to go and get the doctor.
Oh, excellent. I'll take it from here.
Okay.
I'll pull up a chair so that I'm sitting next to his bed. Mm-hmm. Mr. Fredericks, I'm Dr. Wraith Longshaw. I arrived shortly after you fell ill. Do you recall anything of what happened to you?
His eyes open a little wider when you say about remembering. Yeah, it was it all happened so suddenly. He notices the fact. Presumably you're still wearing your MP uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah. He obviously clocks that and maybe tempers his response accordingly. Yeah, I don't remember too much. I remember that I was on duty at the station, and that I heard something. I submitted a report to the base commander, to Group Captain Knight, a few days ago, and I was monitoring some disturbance on the radio frequency, but whatever happened so fast that I don't really fully understand what happened.
I understand. You play the theremin, don't you?
He looks his eyes open a little bit wider, like concerned. Yeah, sure. I play at the Sergeant's Mess. What's that got to do with anything?
I look around.
It's just the two of you.
Yeah. I show him the music. Your piece, something you composed.
Yeah. You must have got that from my quarters. So
your quarters were ransacked by, I can't remember his name.
Samford.
Samford. I don't know, in a fit of whatever jealous rage. Don't worry about that. He's been disciplined. Can I tell you something? It's going to sound unbelievable.
I was going to say the same thing to you if you wanted to know where that came from.
The signal that's been transmitted has been carrying your theremin music. It's do you know what the distance is on the transmission, how far it can reach?
Well, I was hoping all the way to Lyra.
Yeah, I think it's reaching even farther than that. I think that somehow something has answered your signal. Have you seen?
Answered my signal. I was answering theirs.
You're answering their signal. It was, yeah. It's here somewhere. We don't know what it is. We don't know that it's even from this universe.
He looks astounded, not in a kind of shocked, disbelieving way. I honestly thought that if I was the one saying that I would be, people would think I'm a lunatic, and here you are saying exactly what I know.
I've seen it. Yeah,
they're here. That the aliens have come here.
Yeah, and their intention, believe it or not, is to find gifted musicians. They aren't like us, and that's why they haven't contacted you directly. They actually don't know who you are or where you are, but they are here looking. We need to send a counter signal back to them. We're currently in the process of trying to figure out how we can turn the control tower into a gigantic theremin. We have one of our people working on the music, but we need you to assist us. We need you to play the theremin. How are you feeling?
Confused.
Confused, yes.
I mean,
this is a first contact. We're not exactly sure.
I told this to the group captain. I told him that I knew I heard something, and when I triangulated it and tried to find out where it was from, I told him it was coming from the stars. I told him it was coming from Lyra, and the only thing that could come from space was a transmission from an alien intelligence. This is our first contact. This is World Contact Day.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The situation here in Cyprus has gotten kind of ugly. There's already a bit of panic that's going on everywhere, and we don't want to cause any more of it. So we're keeping this hush-hush. Me and my colleagues came here because we also picked up the signal, and we've arrived just earlier today. But right now there's a lot of interference that's going on the base. People are panicking. People are being injured by electrical discharges. We need you to help us. Are you feeling up to getting up and out of bed?
He gets out of bed.
All right, I'll help him. I'll help him get clothes on. Do you need food? How are you? You're probably pretty hungry.
I could do with a bite to eat. If you grab a sandwich or something from the canteen, that'd be fine.
I'll go get that for you, but don't talk about this to anyone. Not everybody knows.
No, he mum's the word.
This could be the most important event that's ever happened to our world.
You don't need to do any persuasion here. That you are preaching to the choir. This guy believed he was going to be the one to achieve first contact himself, and you are basically buttering his ego. So yeah, he's on board.
Good man. I will bring you turkey, ham.
I'll take whatever you got.
All right. So I will leave, and I will detour to at least contact one of them on my way to the food, and then I will return with the food.
Gotcha. All right.
Right, we have radios. I forget that. I'm used to being unable to contact people in different rooms because it's 1923, but we have requisition radios.
Technology.
That's great, because it's he has no idea that this thing was the wrong thing. Well, dang, Holbrook, if we need him to play the song again, we just tell him to, I guess. He doesn't seem to have any compunction about bringing this back, as traumatic as it was for him.
Yeah, I think he got zapped rather than tapped on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And that's why he's we'll see how compos mentis he is. It means, though, Morrison, we don't need the musicians necessarily. It sounds like we just need bodies. Does that mean we tell Musgrave less and gather up a bunch of refugees and take them to the...
I'm not comfortable with using refugees. From the side that they are refugees, that's part of why it was kind of nice to have the band. They are soldiers. This is part of what we came in for.
And I appreciate that. The only thing being that with everything in chaos, Musgrave's going to say, oh, I can't afford a single man. They're just holding down things as it is. Whereas he doesn't care what happens to people from the island.
There is a fair point to that. I mean, if we have to, we have to, I guess.
Right. We ask the man for what we need, and if he doesn't give it to us, we go about things other ways.
I suppose. And he's just uncomfortable with that. It's worrying. Also, okay. I don't know refugee status. Young was saying we'd have to jump around on this thing. I don't know that I mean, unless you're talking about grabbing the refugee kids and trying this, I don't know how many people are going to be up for that. Well, and also
it seems, yes, in terms of following orders, if you see a proper army marching band, they know where to stand and stay there until they're told to move. And that is helpful.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I have no visual idea of if it sounded like Young was just going to have us climb a power pylon.
And as I've seen the theremin played on television, and you don't actually touch the thing. You just hold your hand near it. But, they'd have to leap 30 feet in the air or something. I don't know exactly. I think it's going to be a different sort of theremin. It's going to be an approximation.
Very, very exciting.
It's going to be literally quite, there'll be many cells excited by the fields in play. All right. So we approach Musgrave's office, buttoned up.
Yeah.
And we're taking a visible or an invisible Zahn.
I think invisible, unless you think we want him out at the beginning.
No, we'll present him if proof is necessary. Yes.
Okay. So he fades away, and you get the impression he is following you. Whereas when you get to the SHQ, when you get to Musgrave's office, you arrive at the same point that Palmer is there. And as he is stood by the door, he kind of looks at you with a kind of not a degree of shock, but a little bit of surprise. Oh, that was quick. And then Musgrave opens the door, comes out, and says, "Oh, that again," echoing what Palmer says. That was quick. We were just going to see whereabouts you were. The group captains asked for an update, so if you want to follow me.
Oh,
certainly. Yeah. We might have a word before we get to his office.
It'll have to be a very quick one, as he's kind of walking and talking at the same time.
Yes. Do you have any? Are you aware at all that Frederick submitted a report to Knight already about the interference he was receiving at the signal station, the number station?
I'm not aware of any such report.
It wouldn't have had to go through you. Frederick could have submitted it directly, yes?
In theory, it could have done, yes, if it was something that he believed was particularly important to go straight to the top.
Yes. We're just uncertain as to why your superior didn't do anything about the matter earlier. We're concerned that Knight might be suspicious or something about. We have an idea about what's going on with the interference, so I guess we'll take it to him and.
Oh, good, because I think he wants answers.
Yeah, partial ones we can offer.
Okay. And you end up by that point, you've walked down the corridor to where Knight's office is. Musgrave knocks on the door, at which point you hear this very angry, "Come in!" on the other side. And you are shown into the same room that you've been previously. Knight slams the black phone down on his desk, gets up and pretty much just points a finger directly at Holbrook and Morrison. "I want answers, and I want them now. What the fuck is going on my base?"
Sir, yes, sir. There's a complicated electronic interference pattern that's being operated on frequencies. It's a new technology. We don't know whether it's Soviet, but we suspect it's certainly enemy-based. It has to do with the irregular broadcasts that we've found the recording of the irregularity from the number station. We're actively countermanding it now. We will need personnel at the number station to complete reparations and facilitate the conversion of the signal we're working on. We should be able to neutralize this interference completely before the next signal goes out.
I love it when the PCs have a coherent story they can immediately blam straight down on the desk. Give me your choice of either fast talk or tradecraft.
Ooh, tradecraft might be my best way out. It's still
that might have just saved our bacon. As
it's
we
true.
were discussing,
we were talking about interpersonals.
How persuasive the two of us are.
I don't suppose that he could get a bonus die because we can talk to a story ahead of time.
Oh, but having that story to lay down straight away gives him the role.
True.
Our bonus die is invisible behind us at the moment.
That
will be if it comes down to persuade to say, "Hey, I've got proof."
So I can spend only 12 to get a regular tradecraft. If
Regular's
you look to dubious, all right, 12 it is, and I feel relief.
right? Yeah, I mean, he looks at you and that kind of anger suddenly disappears, not suddenly disappears, but disappears slowly as you realize that he's taking this in and going, this actually kind of makes some kind of sense. And he nods and says, so you're saying this, there aren't saboteurs on the base. This has been done remotely from somewhere else.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The signal, it's a signal, it's a intrusion that is frequency based. We think it's new stuff, and if we can neutralize it today, we might also be able to gain the technology and use it against them, and certainly neutralize it if they try it in the future.
Well, that's definitely something for you guys. That's above my pay grade. And the major problem I've got at the minute is that there's systems that are going haywire all over the base. And I don't dare even think about getting the Vulcans up in the air because I don't want them crashing mid-takeoff.
100% we agree, sir.
Yeah, I've got basically every technician I can, pretty much bar Howland, down at the hangars, trying to get those planes operable. But the minute you give me the all clear to say that whatever signal it is that's doing this is clear, I'm sending them up. So I want to be in constant update with you guys to find out what's going on. And the minute you give me the all clear, I'm getting them in the air.
Understood, sir. Very sensible. Sergeant Howland has been very helpful, by the way, and I have a report that she's been has made excellent progress on repairing the damage from the electrical fire. So we'll be on our way. We have the authority to pick up, say, 6 other members of the staff, 8, to help us with the final preparations. We need to move cable, and we just need to requisition some people who aren't in active, roles.
Oh, I mean, we've had 5 people killed already by this craziness that's happened here. I've just had an update from the infirmary, hence why that's why I wanted to call you guys in. I can spare a few people. I mean, obviously you've got Palmer here. Palmer, who is looking quite stunned by your explanation here, suddenly now looks like a bit like rabbit in headlights, going, "Me? What am I doing?" And the group commander turns around to him and says, "Look, man, you can work an excavator if you need to lay piping or cabling, like they're saying that you're the man for the job. You're a leading aircraftman, for God's sake." He then nods like, "Okay."
And you're not afraid of heights, are you, Palmer?
I'd be a very poor aircraftman in the RAF if I didn't like going up.
Wonderful.
Good. He might be perfect to help us organize some of the lesser men.
He says that he can spare you. So, the D10 is on your side. He can spare you 7 other people along with Palmer, so that gives you 8 in total.
Excellent. Very good, sir. The more the merrier, as it were. The quicker we should be able to get it all clear. And we'll be in touch directly.
Yeah, get to it.
Gerald is walking down the corridor doing math in his head. Okay, so we went from... Okay.
Yeah. Palmer, it's going to be a very interesting evening. Don't worry about a thing. We are actively figuring out how to reverse this signal, and we should be clear by midnight.
Yeah, he nods. You can see that definitely there's some kind of skepticism going on behind his eyes, but when he gets out of Knight's office, he looks at you and says, "Look, I got the feeling you were holding something back about that whole incident that went down at the at the bar down at the marina with those guys. I've already made my concerns known to the base commander, so that's probably why he was a little bit pissed when you came in. I don't know what you've got going on, but something smells fishy to me. This just seems, I don't know, something just don't fit right with me. But I've got my orders. I'm going to follow it through. But I'm just saying, if you've got something, I would like to know what the hell is going on. I'll be a hell of a lot more cooperative and can be a hell of a lot more useful if I'm just being told the truth.
Understood. Good man regarding the orders. When we get things set up at the number station, if things go as we understand them or anticipate them to do, things will become much clearer, much faster. I'm not withholding information because of a lack of trust or a lack of faith in your competence. It's because the situation is so unusual that I don't want you to doubt our good sense. I was thinking, Morrison, do you suppose that Sanford is still on the scene of his breaking and entering in handcuffs?
Almost certainly, yes.
Do you think we should pick him up on the way, just as an extra soul?
My only concern is that he doesn't seem like the team player.
True. Should we tell the MPs then that he might still be lying on Frederick's living room floor?
That's quite a good idea, yes. And Musgrave a second, if you don't mind.
Sure, you can dive into his office.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got?
Two small things. First, how much do you trust Palmer?
He does breathe through his teeth moment. Leading aircraftsmen are always looking for the next rung, way to get up the ladder. He is a man that's connected. He has a lot of strings to pull, and he's ambitious. He wants up the chain. I wouldn't be surprised if he sees this as an opportunity to just further his own career. So he's out for number one, and treat him accordingly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, that's fine. That's all good and well. Keep an eye on him. Something's hidden wrong with him. Secondly, can we get some rifles for tomorrow?
Rifles?
It's to deal with your little problem. We need to be at a distance.
Oh, right. I can arrange something to be brought up from the armory. That's not a problem.
Good man. All right, that's all I have.
Right, no problem then. So
off to the races.
Yeah, a little bit of montage or time passing. You have your 7 members of staff, which are brought up. Along with Palmer gives you 8, and as en masse, you can go down over a few Land Rovers. Will get you back down to the number station. So ultimately, people can converge there.
I'm wondering if we have to wait for a certain time, or we can just play this, and then all our problems will stop.
I think the thing is here somewhere. So I don't think you have to wait for a particular time.
Okay.
That will be attracted.
No time like the present then.
I expect that if it were early, nothing will happen. Whereas if we're late, it'll be catastrophic.
Yeah,
that makes sense too.
So at this point, Longshaw's brought Fredericks back as well.
Yep, he's probably going to be the last one to turn up because Fredericks needs to get dressed, and then you need to find transport from there.
Star of our show.
Yeah, the rest of you are there, and then indeed Fredericks turns up with Longshaw and another Land Rover. So there's getting a collection of vehicles out the front here.
Treat Fredericks as if he's the most important person here.
I'll clap and have everyone start clapping for Fredericks.
Yeah, he looks a bit perplexed, but thank you for the warm welcome. I wasn't aware there was going to be so many people here. What's the?
I'm gonna explain the theremin and how to work it from the mast, really. Mm-hmm. And if he wants to go for like a warm up, we can try that. So it's not a complete failure.
He'll need to know positions, and we're here. You can tune us by moving us around.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So just so I understand, do we have to get up on this thing? Like, are we getting suspended kind of in like harnesses, or how are we getting up there?
Don't fall.
in the control room, I mentioned there is a ladder up in one corner which goes to a hatch, which then gets you onto the roof. When you get to the mast itself, there are then ladders that go up to the different arms that then go off the main mast. So you're going up there and then basically standing freeform or posing at various positions to be able to make the right sound.
So like this is the tower, and we have to get into positions here so that he can make the signal here.
Yep. But then other people are going actually up to be those signals, and there'll be so there's going to be a bit of choreography. So it's a good
I'll be at the power controls just to make sure everything's all set with the power. So
okay. Well, Young, you said this was a we're gonna have to be on our toes, so I'm going up with these gents.
And I'll stand about a half a mile away and conduct.
I was about to ask, where is everyone? Because this is important. Where is everyone?
I mean, I think as many of us like how many people do we have going up, not counting us?
You've got 8 going up there. You've got
8
Palmer and
volunteers. And then there's also Ms. Howland, Sergeant Howland is around and can, she might be needed inside.
And from what I understand, only the keys / battery cells can contribute to the to
the ritual itself.
Correct.
Yeah. We obviously need to rehearse. A bit without putting the full power on.
They can try a chromatic scale or something. And I'm also going to brief Fredericks on this new piece that we've transcribed and have him look at it for any indiscretions.
Gotcha.
And that's what I want to make sure that we don't need to play Frederick's piece just at a greater power, but want to actually invert it. Did he, because he was welcoming first contact, was this a homing beacon and perhaps a go away will be helpful? Or do they actually need to hear, in what sense does Cadenza respond to the signal that he heard?
Well, he can explain a bit more about what he actually, how this has all happened. I was at the station over a few nights ago, and I heard music being played over the broadcast that we were sending out on the same frequency. Long story short, I contacted the base commander. He told me to triangulate it and find out where it was coming from, thinking it might be interference outside the base. It wasn't outside the base on the ground. It was from aliens. It's from Lyra. It's the constellation. That I thought it was maybe some flying saucer that was up in orbit that was corresponding to where the constellation was. But it was the only thing it struck me as it could be is an invitation, that there were 3 bars of the same music, then there were 2 bars, or it was, think of it as track A, then there was B blank B, and then CCC. So it was an invitation to fill in that blank. And I had to listen to it. I had to try and transcribe it. I had to try and then find a way to play the thing. And it was tough, not impossible, but tough. And I sent the response thinking that was then a signal or a sign to say, here's intelligent life, come down and have a word with us on planet Earth. And I was thinking this is going to be, this is like history in the making. This is putting my name in history as one of the most important people to make contact with an alien race.
Well, Victor's been composing what we believe will be the response.
It doesn't require a psychology roll, but when he says that, there's a look of horror, a flash of terror that comes across his face just for a moment, and then goes away again.
Yeah.
But
there's no need to be nervous.
I'm afraid, Fredericks, you were right, broadly speaking, but it wasn't an invitation so much as an audition, and your piece has been accepted, but not in a way that will bring anyone any joy.
What do you mean?
The audition that you heard and responded effectively to is to be taken away from Earth and our plane of being, So if you don't want to accept that invitation, we want tonight's performance to be effective.
Yeah, he looks quite stunned. Looks over at Longshore and looks back at Holbrook. What do you mean they were going to take me away? They were going to take me to that. Again, that kind of look of horror comes back over his face. You're getting the impression he saw something when he performed.
Yes, that's the. Unfortunately, your enormous talent was responded to by something terrifying, and we're trying to just say it was a mistake and it should go back to its own plane of reality. That's the goal tonight. You did marvelously, and you've got a great future ahead of you if we can send that thing back where it came from. Those things.
This, as he says that, he pauses, looks over at Howland, and then turns back to you. This thing poses a threat to us all here.
Indeed.
He looks back over at Howland. You can see there's definitely a look that goes over his eyes, like this is something I've got to do.
You got to save us all.
Yeah. And he turns back to you and says, "Let's do it."
Right.
Good man. It's going to be a magnificent performance.
All right. I will take up station at the power control just to make sure everything's okay.
I think I'm going to go up with them.
Good man, Stan.
Yeah, we should have a couple people up there to make sure that this goes right.
Yes, I'll take a position on the tower. That's going to be the harder role. And I believe in it. Some of the folks that we conscripted into this might be as cautious or mindful of the role. Does anyone among us have a particularly commanding presence to whip the innocents into shape?
Well, we've all got MP on us. They're soldiers. They'll listen to us if we tell them to do something. We don't need to ask them.
That is true.
It's good to have motivation beyond. I mean, the island's gone crazy and we sound nuts. I just thought if anybody was particularly good at giving patent speeches, it would be all right.
All right, men, we're all about to die. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no. Look, if you don't do this, we're all going to probably explode in a nuclear bloodbath. So
to save us all, you're going to have to explode.
Well, I'm doing the math. It's much better to have 11 than 3. So based on previous experience, I think we might survive.
Yes. Okay. None of us are great at encouragement. All right then.
Also, Young and Longshaw. Side note: if Palmer makes it down, and we don't, take a look in his thing. Something's not adding up with him. He's too nosy, and I think he wants Musgrave's spot. I wouldn't be shocked if he leaked some of this to Cartal just to get Musgrave out.
Okay.
Just a thought.
There's bound to be some blackmail on him. We'll look for it.
We know he deals drugs, so.
And they'll make it down, no problem.
It's going to be
the spirit.
It's going to be a fine performance. That's all. And there's no whiskey in this coffee at all.
All right. I'm getting the power ready.
Gotcha. All right. Go through the steps you need to do here. So you've got the power set up, so that's no problem. You've got the transcript, so you know where to position everyone. So, all right. The first bit is there are a number of penalty dice that are going to be applied to this. You've got Fredericks as being the main lead for the banishment because he's the one that's going to perform it. But he is using a massive instrument. In fact, he is using a building to perform this, which is a little bit outside of the scope of a normal musician's talent. Like, he is still a virtuoso, so That is the big favor for him. He needs to make an extreme art craft music roll, but he has 3 penalty die to begin with. What this is going to do with your efforts are trying to remove those penalty die before you then make the roll. So I'm not going to make this roll. This is definitely one that you guys can make for him. Each participant, other than the leader that's involved in this, so all the guys that are on the mast, need to give me a dex roll, and for everyone that succeeds on the dex check, that will remove a penalty die. You've got 11 people up there. The chances are you're going to succeed. If you all want to give me a roll to speed the process up, the average dex of the person that's going to be up there is 60. So go through those 11 rolls. Well, yourself plus the 8 from the NPCs, and let me know how many you've got. If you've got 3, then it takes away all of his penalty die.
1 success.
I got a.
Well, first we'll do us.
Extreme.
There you go.
I got a hard. I don't know if that matters.
No, it's irregular is all you need for that. So even just between the 3 rolls there, you've got all 3 are giving you, taking away rather, a penalty die from him.
34. That's a regular.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard. No, yeah, it's a regular.
Right. The main thing also I need to find out is how many people fail, because they're not going to be able to contribute magic points to this.
All right, I got 60 for one of the other random guys.
Yep, 6 is a success.
Oh, this soldier rolled a 2.
He's up there
53.
on the top, balancing on 1 foot. Like,
He was in the ballet before this.
53. Yeah.
And I get 1 of each on a couple of them. So I think that, yeah.
There's no failed soldiers yet.
No, I got a failure on 1.
Oh, okay.
On 1.
Yep.
So it looks like we have 2 failures so far, or
2.
3.
So
3.
3. Okay. So that means you've got,
We also
including
have 1,
yourselves,
2,
as 11.
3.
So minus. You've got 7 people that can draw magic points into this.
Okay.
Now, in terms of the banishment effect, before we do the roll itself for Frederick's, we're going to calculate what the percentage is for the actual banishment roll. Frederick's himself needs to spend, or needs to, because it's all going to channel through him. 12 magic points are what you need to begin with. That gives you a 5% chance to banish Cherembra. For every additional magic point that you spend, that will give you an additional 5%.
What is the number that you need to worry about with magic points?
When it gets to HP.
When you expend more than you've got, then it comes off hit points.
Okay.
Now, Frederick's himself, get to Frederick's sheet. Frederick's has a total of 16 magic points. So he can cover the base 12 without any issue. How many do you want to spread between the rest of your subjects, given that you've got 7 people that are contributing? And we'll say for the NPCs in question, they've got an average of 10 magic points each. So they've got a power 50.
How many do we need?
19.
That's how much you want the percentage chance to be to succeed.
Oh,
If you add 19 magic points, it'll be 100%. So just go to 100%.
That's much cheaper. Yeah, let's
2 magic
split
points
what,
like
2?
each person. That's fantastic.
Okay.
Wait.
And that will still leave potentially, if you need to do it again, you're not draining them to the point where they can't do it. Assuming there's not any negative effects for failure, this is.
And that's enough that we can explain it as weird electricity fatigue or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I presume you're doing this after you've practiced for a little bit. So as you're saying, you've got time to do a dry run, and you've still got time before midnight. I would say you've got about an hour. So this comes up to literally the 11th hour. It's 11 o'clock by the time that you are ready to go. And this thing gives you time for your performance and subsequent other attempts if need be. Right. So we're up to now doing the roll itself. Fredericks gets ready, kind of cracks his knuckles. Howland steps back in the room and just watches with a degree of concern. You're all up there doing your trying to banishment through interpretive dance.
Cramp rolls.
Yeah, give me a con roll to see if you can hold that position for so long.
Yeah.
All right, Fredericks, who would like to roll for him? I'm going to say that you can use your luck to modify his roll. So this can give you an opportunity for which player do you want to make this roll?
Hi.
I've got 70 luck.
Wait, you have 70?
Yes.
You still have? Okay.
Correct.
Fuck. I thought I had a lot with like 60. You do it. You're the one behind the electric board.
I'm flipping levers. All right, Fredericks.
Right. He begins. He looks at the tune you've got transcribed, and then begins to play. There is this crazy cacophony that starts spreading through the air. Fredericks has a skill of music, any instrument, 90. So you need to get an 18 or less.
Oh boy. Fredericks, let's go. 1, 2, you know what to do. Boom. 16. Right off the bat. No luck expenditure.
Right. In which case, he starts to move almost like he is part of the instrument. He starts to bend around this thing. He starts to move his arms in ways that you thought mainly almost resemble almost like a fit of some kind. You can see Howland again looking on concernedly. Zahn at this point starts to fade into reality at the back of the room, watching with a degree of interest, as if he knows what's going on, and he isn't stopping Fredericks. If anything, you can see that he's almost trying to encourage the guy playing, that there's definitely this look of, you can do it, on his silent face. Those of you up on the mast, and even, in fact, in the building as well, start to hear this music start to play. And then it's odd. It's almost like a shift in perception. You don't just hear the music, you can feel it, you can taste it, all your senses start to get jumbled up. Welcome to the lovely world of synesthesia, when you can start to taste colors, etc. I need a hard power roll from everyone, please.
Okay. All right. 25
Accomplished.
is a pass.
Yeah,
I'll
spend a
spend
little
6
bit of
luck.
Yeah.
Get a hard.
Okay, so your sounds are tasted, touch is heard, colors are smelt, your senses are all crossed. What the success on the hard power roll does is that you do not have a penalty die on every roll that is going to be made after this. So you are at least able to remain functional while your senses are all over the place. But you can, because you are now able to see sound, you see descending from the sky above you, this thing that resembles, it's essentially a sound wave. This thing moves through the air, coming down from the stars, and it's beautiful in one way, but terrifying in another. You can give me a sanity check for seeing the outer god appear.
Just barely passed.
94.
No,
I passed.
just a little over.
I'm waiting for it.
Okay, well, pass is good. Pass is only 1.
Oh.
Failure's 2d10.
Oof. And this is the nicer one. I thought you were about to tell us, all right, so if you pass, it's a D20, and if you fail, it's a D100.
Because I'm averting my eyes.
You know, it's ironic that I spent 35 luck to make the POW hard.
Holy shit, 15.
I just got 13.
Oh, you can't spend luck on sanity.
Yeah.
It's just, but it doesn't mean I'm so mad that it hardly matters that I made the POW roll. That's what
Well, Brooke, you got me beat by 1. I'm at 12.
Do I roll intelligence to see if I comprehend?
Oh yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And we're
I've got
clever
a
clogs,
40% chance of
Yeah.
being okay.
I got an
04.
extreme success from my intelligence.
No, I got a I got a
could have
hard.
used that roll before.
I comprehend.
Right, yeah, you are realizing that this is sentient sound. This is some kind of life that is completely unknown on Earth. This is beyond anything that you have met before anything that you have read or that even N has informed you about in that Section 46 has manifested. This is on a whole different level. And you are stunned. How would you like to freak out?
I'm going to weep at the beauty and just shut down and curl up into a fetal position. Just fluids spewing, tears, urine, just, it's bad.
You're having a bad trip.
Okay, so that's 3 of you taken out of the equation, essentially.
Morrison's gonna, in his fit, he maybe has a pin or something, and he just, while holding on, pops both of his eardrums.
You pop. You feel the pain.
Not good.
You feel the pain, and also realize that even that doesn't stop this sound resonating through your head. Yeah. You think even the deaf can hear this, and that includes you now. Yeah. How does Holbrook?
Just clutching the mast so hard that I probably break some fingers. I don't want to fall into it, and I don't want to. It's the only solid thing that exists, so I'm just like.
That seems perfectly reasonable to me. Right, so you 3 are freaking out up on top, which means that your combination of magic points that were going into that pool now don't count because you are completely.
Oh, I was on the ground.
All right, yeah. So
for them too, though.
Yeah, you go. So there's only 2 of you. So your total, you were putting in a combination of 19. That was a couple of points each, effectively. So that's 4 points that are going to drop off that. So 4 times 5, 20.
Can I add extra points in?
You can if you wish.
Yeah, I mean, if like when I see them starting to freak out, I'm just gonna grip the others extra strong and put more of my willpower and essence into it, which is I imagine how that would how I would have do that since I'm not quite my character doesn't quite understand what magic points are. So
each of us will both put in 2 more.
Yeah, I mean that works. Yeah, I was going to put in the extra 4, but yeah, we'll do 2 each, and then I have some extra, so I'm at only 9 now.
Right, and that sounds as if Stan is the one that's leaping in to help plug the gap.
Yeah.
While Victor's gone crazy up on top. Is that Stan taking the roll for the banishment?
Oh, geez, I guess I am. I've still got some luck. Right,
I'm going to hum along.
I need an 18?
Well, no, because this is your percentage chance of banishment. So if you've got 100%,
we've got 100.
Oh, okay.
Don't roll 00.
Okay. No double skulls. All right, no double skulls. It's double 7s. Luck 77.
Right. In which case, you are successful. So there is. Let me make sure I've got my.
Stay on target. Wait, that reference is a year early? Shit. Never mind.
Hey, we had music coming through from a different era before, so hey, let's keep on doing.
Yeah, see, I said it first. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, Stan Gerthy said it first. So some guy that was here ends up working for Lucasfilms as a prop guy, and he's like, "Wouldn't it be cool if Luke said stay on target?"
Right, you are literally, as you've described before, plugged in like a battery into this thing. You can feel power leaking through you, getting charged into the mast, which starts to glow as you all between you. You've got Holbrook, who's got breaking fingers holding onto it. You've got Gerald pouring blood all over it from his ears. Victor just weeping and pissing all over it. There's a hum. There's this horrible smell that starts to erode around you. There's ozone starts to build up, and an almighty flash what seems to resemble a sonic boom that echoes overhead, almost like a jet fighter that breaks the sound barrier. All of the guys on the mast, in various states of sanity loss, various states of trauma, fall to their knees and start screaming. In the main bay, the main control room, Fredericks just flourishes, puts up both of his arms in almost like in a scream to finish the performance, and everything goes black. All the lights in the area cut, and for those of you outside see there's an almighty just power outage that starts to spread across the base. That the whole base descends into darkness. About 10-15 seconds pass.
Do we still see like moon and stars?
Yes.
That's good.
And for those, as your synesthesia passes, you realize that up above you, there is no longer sentient sound. This thing that was above you, this thing that was looming over this part of Earth from space that had come down to try and pick this poor, effectively innocent man up from the ground because he had done nothing wrong in any traditional sense of the term wrong, is gone.
Is Fredericks gone, or is he still there?
No, you successfully banished it. So Fredericks is still there. And indeed, Zahn is there also nodding. He writes down a note as quick as he can in what seems to be a very broken English, but points it up in your direction for Gursky and Longshore. And in broken English, it just reads, "I'm glad someone avoided the same fate that befell me." And as he looks to you with this smile on his face and nods a very kind of well done nod to Fredericks, he just starts to fade away and stretch almost as if he's been pulled away into the sky, back to the court where he resides at the center of the universe.
Take a sort of somber moment, and as I see him sort of like fading away, I'll just kind of Godspeed.
I'm going to try to grab Fredericks, give him a well done, but I think that we need to take Fredericks with us when we leave.
Oh yeah, that's probably happening. That's yeah.
Yeah, but as you go to grab him, Howland is there before you, giving him one almighty hug.
Oh.
Yeah, I think we can probably descend into a kind of a wrap up montage then from this point. Yeah. That's very much the climax of the overall story. Over the course of the next few hours, procedure starts to return to the base because everything starts working again. You've got the Vulcans that are being loaded up, power's restored, there is no more crazy electrical disturbances, and within the hour the planes are loaded up with the nukes and they are out of here. There is still a fairly consistent stream of refugees coming in from Limassol, and reports are coming in that there are landings that are happening on the north side of the island. Got to make sense because that's where closest geographically to Turkey. So they're coming in from the north. It will give you a whole island between you and the front line. But there is still horrendous reports coming out of Limassol of some of the stuff that's going down there. Obviously, the group captain is more than happy with you for having stopped this interference from some foreign power. Is hopeful that you will be able to find out what this technology is and be able to bring it for another weapon to add into the NATO arsenal against the Soviet threat. You've still got one problem to deal with outside the base the next morning. You've got some rifles that you've got from Musgrave. What's your plan in dealing with Cartal when she turns up?
Morrison would express what he was thinking of. They're going out on a long pier. There's warehouses across the way. We just need her alive. We set up on the roof of a warehouse. Well, not the roof maybe, but some kind of overhang. Get a good position and anyone that isn't her, and he's having to do this all by writing because he can't hear himself anymore, is anyone that's not her, we just shoot. And then she's on a long pier. It should be easy shots for everybody. They've got nowhere to go.
Yeah, and I mean, if we want to keep N happy, it would see, we have to, remember that our story is that we were here to apprehend, cartel. That all that we just did was only because there was additional saboteurs and with the invasion and such, and so we had to deal with them, and now we can deal with cartel, and so we gotta keep that story. So,
well,
we gotta bring her in ASAP.
We need her because she's a connection to what's his name,
Right.
Mr.
Snow.
Oh, Mr.
Snow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I suggest we take out the pilot first.
Yep. Pilot, drivers. In fact, if you take out the last driver that drove onto the pier, they're more or less sitting ducks.
Okay.
Just block them in.
It'll be easy to find out in the story how Aiden Dickman gets away.
Or does he?
Well, we know historically that he gets arrested sometime quite a bit later.
Well, that's in the real world.
Yeah, this is like Call of Cthulhu world.
Wait, is this the whole dream world sequence? That we're just...
No, but this is, we can do its own timeline.
Yeah,
he's thinking about other realities.
Everybody, I think the doctor's losing it. We need to get him in for a baseline test.
We're in our reality.
Now, I don't know if Fredericks gets locked up somewhere or if Fredericks actually becomes an agent.
I think that'll depend on the.
I will let N decide. To be honest.
The probably N and the psyche valve to determine that the section 46 psyche valve.
Oh, you've also got some other person there to think about as well, because Howland was present in the room when Zahn appeared from nowhere during that performance, and has been kind of intrinsically involved in this from the start as well. What are you kind of doing with her?
Yeah, we'll take her too. Probably keep them together, keep them happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we probably got to bring him in. Yeah.
Let him into the bigger picture eventually.
I can't imagine he's not going to explain to her that he just
exactly
made first contact.
Well, there's always a possibility of leaving her behind, and whoever she tells, they're going to think she's a crackpot.
But I feel like, I don't know.
I think
she could be useful if
she might be valuable.
If cleared. Yeah.
Also, the fact we just came up with a bit of music that kicks out a god. We need Fredericks around, and anyone that saw this. This is, it's not a NATO thing necessarily, but this is pretty important.
Oh, because if the Soviets get their hands on the ability to conjure the thing of then we're going to need to do that again. And so, oh Lord, Jesus. Yeah. Add another match to the matchbox. They've got 12. We've got 14 now. So, if this gas on our ankles lights up, we got more matches to burn.
Thinking of weaknesses, someone roll me a percentile and tell me what you get.
I got an 03.
Oh,
okay. So Palmer succeeded his sand check, so he does not get driven nuts from his experience. So you've also got Palmer to consider as well, because he was up on the mast with you all, and has remained with his brain intact enough that he can still act.
Maybe we have these people. We put in a thing to have them all transferred to where.
Let's let headquarters figure this one out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thinking back to the marina. So at 9:45 a.m., that's when you start to hear the sound of an engine, or at least a plane coming in over from the ocean. It comes in from the south, so it does come in from quite a distance away.
Some of us hear it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I was going to say. It's the CL-215 amphibious aircraft. So the one that normally drops water on, to put out forest fires. So something that can carry a lot of weight inside. And almost simultaneously, as this starts coming in flying low over the ocean, you can see that there are a couple of trucks, well, there are 3 trucks rather, that start to come down the road. The whole area is deserted at this moment. There is still small arms fire and smoke rising in other parts of the city, but this particular area is just completely dead. So there is no one here to stop them. They go along to the very bottom of the pier, and then a group of men dressed in overalls, including one that seems to be dressed in a suit that's seemingly the one that's organizing them, probably the man you think is Dickman, and another lady, a lady that climbs out, dressed all in black. They seem to be, say, Cartal and Dickman. The rest of their hired muscle are literally that. They are there to move these crates that they have positioned, the 38 or so different 38 sections of the stolen fresco, and load them into the plane. They are sitting ducks if you are looking at them from a high enough position. So who is the one that's pulling the trigger?
Well, before we do that, can we say that we brought soldiers with us so that we can close off the road? They can't drive away.
Yeah, I think you did, because you did actually mention to Musgrave to say, hey, we're going to need your help to do this. There's a little bit of resistance from Knight in the sense that, hey, this is the RAF and we're doing SIS's dirty work, but he has that countered by, hey, we just saved the base.
Yeah, you scratch her back.
We're all on the same side.
We scratched yours.
There you go. So yeah, you have sufficient manpower to turn up to make a good show of force.
All right, Gerald, I tap him on the shoulder twice. Honor's all yours.
All right, I'm taking some shots. I'll take Young's advice: pilot first, and then it's pretty much done. I doubt they can pilot this. I'm going to spend 15 luck to get my 80 because I rolled a 95.
He has to think about, hang on, which end does the bullet come out of again?
It's the lack of sound. It's messing with him.
Oh, the safety's still on. Oh,
yeah. Like you're probably like lining up the shot, and like one of us that's like helping spot for you is like, you're gonna pull it back, right? Like you're gonna do, like it's almost on fire. And you're like, oh shit, yeah, that's a thing I do with this with this model.
I'm deaf now. Give this to me.
Love that.
With that, you are able to take out the pilot. It's not the most beautiful shot in the world, but it does the job. You think you probably catch him somewhere in the upper chest. At that point, he falls back inside. So you've gone through the the windshield, the glass of the cockpit, through to his chest, and there's now a corpse lying in the pilot's seat. The rest of it goes pretty much as you anticipated. They've not got sufficient qualifications or skill to be able to fly the plane themselves, so they are all rounded up fairly quickly. Most of the hired goons just do pretty much are completely non-resistant. That all they were done was to move stuff. They are not armed. They're not up for a fight. They're not paid enough for that shit. So you can get Cartal and Dickman back to the airbase, where they can be. There's a few questions which Musgrave would certainly like to pose to Cartal, but it depends whether you're going to let him anywhere near her, or are you going to take her back to be interrogated back in London?
Yeah, she needs to come back to London. Maybe he'll have a few minutes to talk to her, but
5 minutes. That's it.
Not alone, not without supervision.
Gotcha. Yeah, if he's not alone, then he won't try anything. He won't try anything dumb.
Right.
But he makes a very pointed note of saying, "You messed with the wrong people here, lady." But his main question was it anything personal? And she just replies, "No, you were just someone that we could use to get the info we needed off the base, or rather, the info that a certain friend of mine is after."
And we'll take her away now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, back in London, interrogation will happen. She explains a little bit that Snow stepped in and gave her a place to hide with Dickman a few years back after a break-in went wrong back in Turkey. and that she is then used by him as what you would call in tradecraft as an asset, that she is used basically to get some dirty work done. And it was under Snow's instruction to get a high-ranking person from the airbase to be able to find the serial numbers of the nukes. That was the key thing that he wanted, but she doesn't know why he wanted them. So that leaves a whole other angle for a potential follow-up scenario if you were to go looking for Snow, finding who is this person, what did he want the serial numbers of the nukes for, and what is his end goal? Is it even anything to do with the mythos? It may not be. It may be something completely mundane.
Now, don't we also... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, otherwise you can get you can fly back to London with potentially 3 new recruits for Section 46 with your 3 RAF personnel.
Now, play a lot of scenarios, so make sure I'm not thinking of something else, but weren't there some strange carven obelisk-like things in the art place that he was going to ship somewhere? We need to take those as well. Maybe we'll take the plane.
You can certainly grab them if you want. There's literally just weird artwork that he has. There's nothing mystically, there's nothing mythosy about that. It's just he was an art dealer, so he would have a whole selection of weird bits and pieces there.
Okay. I thought that there were like stone obelisks or something that he was going to transport. Anyways, yeah, I'll take some art for my house.
We could keep the church roof, and we could take it with us.
And that
put it in the museum.
Yeah, this is my memento.
Britt would say that, wouldn't he? Let's just take it and put
I
it in
think
the museum somewhere.
there's a gallery in the British Museum already that would fit very nicely in.
Indiana Jones isn't even out yet. You can't even.
There's practically a spot available. It's
Admit that.
reserved.
Clearly, the locals can't take care of these things themselves. The Empire should take responsibility.
You Brits aren't bad, I'll have to say. After all this,
I would hope so.
yeah.
Right. Fantastic.
So you fly back to London and into the sunset.
Is there anything we need an explanation for? I think we figured it all out, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a simple thing. It's a scenario where there's no real bad guy. It's just a poor fellow with his curiosity that stumbled onto a very potentially big mythos threat, that he's identified himself to the talent scout for the Court of Azathoth to say, hey, look, I'm someone that can help placate the Demon Sultan and stop him waking up. You uncovered what he'd done. Literally, he's bumbling in without any ill intent to try and make first contact with what he thought was an alien race, and that's why he brought down this whole situation on top of the airbase's head. And thankfully, for at least for you, in terms of like sanity rewards and such, you do not take the hit of having to worry about having just sacrificed the poor guy. That's with most of the with most Cthulhu scenarios, you've got the sanity rewards and such at the end of a scenario. Mm-hmm. If you convinced Fredericks to sacrifice himself while he was ignorant of his fate, like what Longshore was angling towards, that would be minus 1d10 san for doing so, because you're effectively executing the poor guy without telling him why.
I would have lost 1 point.
If you told him what it was all about, but still tried to get him to sacrifice himself, then it lessens it to a 1d6. But you managed to remember and save Frederick, so that would have earned you 1d10 san instead.
5.
There you go. So yeah, you definitely took the moral high ground. And it's where when I've run this scenario in the past, that's really where it shines, where you get debates between the player characters, because saying, we can't do this. We can't just put the poor innocent guy on the chopping block and expect him to offer himself up to go and save everyone else. It just ain't right. And we had in that one session I'm recalling, we did have at the last minute, he fluffed his role to try and perform, so he would get taken. One of the other PCs jumped in and rolled an extreme success to perform, and she got abducted in his place.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought for sure when Carl Holbrook was telling him countering all of the stuff I had told him, that he would be like, oh.
Yeah.
We worded it to make it more resolute.
I am convinced that Carl, whatever his name is a surrealist vector, possibly aligned with the King in Yellow, because what the fuck happened to his name change halfway through?
Carl the ever-shifting H.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Go ahead.
Which is amusing, considering that in the Cold War setting, that H is the antagonist of N.
Ooh.
So that just again, nice coincidence.
Our players included David Gasway, Alex Sun, Nathan Decker, John Dos Passos, and myself, with Matthew Sanderson as the keeper of the secrets. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you would like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.